So let me ask you this. Where in your life are you waiting for the pain to get bad enough before you finally do what you already know you need to do? I have had a tooth in full pain before. And when that happened, there was no waiting. Everything stopped. I was calling the dentist that day. I was trying to get in that day or the next day at the latest. There was no, I'll see you when I have time. The time got made because the situation had become serious enough. And that is what hit me. It was really not about the tooth. It was about how bad I was willing to let it get before I finally moved.
Be limitless. Limitless. Started up, we finished. Limitless. Never running out of energy. Limitless. Keep it going till we finish. Keep it going till we finish. Keep it going, I am limitless.
Yeah, man. Welcome to another episode of the Be Limitless Today Podcast. I am your host, Jarvis Cobb, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate you spending a little time with your boy. I was thinking about something this week. Have you ever had a toothache so bad that it became the only thing happening in your life? And I'm not talking about that little pain to where you just start chewing on the other side and tell yourself, I'll call the dentist eventually. I mean that real tooth pain. The kind where you cannot eat, you cannot sleep, you cannot focus. Like you walking around the house holding the side of your face like you've been betrayed. And suddenly, every excuse disappears. You were too busy yesterday, but now you're calling every dentist within 20 miles. You did not have time before. Now your whole schedule has opened up. Now you were going to get around to it next month, but now you're asking, can somebody see me today? That tooth becomes the priority. And that is what I want to talk about today. It's time, energy, and excuses. And it's the things that we keep putting off because they haven't gotten painful enough yet. Now, I recently felt what I thought was a chipped tooth. I put it off going to the dentist for weeks. I have reasons, it was a new dentist. I didn't know what their procedure and what their process was yet. My old dentist retired and went to Florida on me, so I had to find somebody new. And I had other things going on. But the real reason, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. There was no urgency. Nothing was forcing me to stop what I was doing and make the appointment. When I finally went in, I found out that one of my fillings had cracked. And I most likely was going to need a root canal. Now, even after hearing that, I was still not in pain. So I scheduled it for like 2 weeks later. There was no urgency. There was no panic. Just something I put on the calendar. But I had to be honest with myself. I already knew that tooth wasn't going to fix itself. There was no scenario where I woke up one morning and the filling said, you know what, Jarvis? I handled it for you. It was either going to stay the same for a little while or get worse. I knew that, and I still waited. Why? Because it wasn't bad enough yet. And I think a lot of us are doing that in other areas of our lives. We know something needs attention. We know it's not going to improve on its own. But because it's not screaming at us yet, we keep pushing it back. So let me ask you this. Where in your life are you waiting for the pain to get bad enough before you finally do what you already know you need to do? I have had a tooth in full pain before. And when that happened, there was no waiting. Everything stopped. I was calling the dentist that day. I was trying to get in that day or the next day at the latest. There was no, I'll see you when I have time. The time got made because the situation had become serious enough. And that is what hit me. It was really not about the tooth. It was about how bad I was willing to let it get before I finally moved. I operate off this principle. If it was bad enough, you would make time. And I mean it exactly the way I said it. Think about every excuse you've used in the last 30 days. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. This is not the right time or right moment. I don't have the bandwidth right now. Now ask yourself, if the situation got serious enough, would those excuses still exist? Or would everything else move to make room for the thing that needed to happen? You've already done it before. Something became critical and you found resources you did not know you had. You made the call, you moved the appointment, you canceled the plans, you stayed up later, you got up earlier, you asked somebody for help. You did what needed to be done because the situation had become bad enough, which means the time may already be there. The energy may already be there. It's just being allocated somewhere else. And sometimes that's not a time problem. That's a priority problem. Now, I'm not saying real constraints don't exist. They do. A parent caring for a sick child has a real constraint. A person working 2 jobs to keep the lights on has a real constraint. Someone dealing with illness or grief or exhaustion or financial pressure may genuinely have a limited capacity. This is not about dismissing what is hard. It's about being honest enough to separate a real constraint from an excuse we've gotten comfortable repeating. But sometimes the truth is not, I don't have time. Sometimes the truth is, it's not important enough to me yet. Or it has not become painful enough for me to rearrange my life. That is harder to admit. But once you admit it, you can do something about it. If you stopped calling it a time problem and start calling it a priority problem, what will you have to admit about the thing you keep putting off? You say your health matters, but it only gets attention when you are already worn down. You say your marriage matters, but the important conversations keep getting pushed back to another day. You say your dreams matter, but it only gets worked on when everything else is done. And here's the secret. Everything else is never done. That's how years pass. Not always because we don't care. Sometimes it's because we keep waiting for a better time or a calmer week or more motivation or more energy or more confidence. But the perfect time does not usually show up. You have to decide that the time you have is enough to begin. And that brings me to my second principle. You can have anything you want if you are willing to pay what it costs. Every goal has a cost. Time is a part of the cost. Energy is a part of the cost. Discomfort is a part of the cost. Inconvenience is a part of the cost. Sacrifice is a part of the cost. You do not get to choose the result and then make all the rules about how you are going to receive it. You don't get to say, I want to be a millionaire, and then say, I only want to work 2 days a week to achieve it. You cannot want the result and then try to negotiate away the price. You say you want better health, but you do not want to meal prep or go to bed earlier or get up and move. You say you want to build something, but you do not want to give up 2 hours of scrolling. You say you want the relationship to improve, but you keep avoiding the uncomfortable conversations. Or you say you want more peace, but you keep refusing to set boundaries with the things that keep draining you. The goal may be available, but the question is whether you are willing to pay what it costs. And sometimes we say we want something when what we really mean is that we would like to have it if it does not disrupt our current comfort. Those are not the same thing. Wanting the result is easy. Accepting the cost, that's the real decision. So what is the real cost of the thing you say you want? And I'm not talking about the imaginary version. I'm talking about the real version. What time will it require? What habits has to change? What conversations has to happen? What convenience will you have to give up? What discomfort are you going to have to sit in? And are you actually willing to pay that cost? Or are you still hoping to get the result at a discount? This is where a lot of us get stuck. We keep trying to remove every inconvenience before we start. We want certainty before action. We want confidence before action, motivation before action, a clear schedule before action. But most of the time, those things come after you begin, not before. You do not need everything to change today. You do not need to do a full overhaul. You do not need to fix your entire life by Friday. But you need to stop waiting until the pain makes the decision for you. The solution is not to wait until the tooth is screaming. The solution is to go in while it's still a chip. Address the thing while you still have options, while the cost is still manageable, while you still get to choose the timing. Because when you wait until the crisis, you often lose choices. Now you're reacting. Now you're scrambling. Now you're paying more. Now you're trying to repair something that could have been handled earlier. And that applies to more than just a tooth. It applies to your health, your finances, your relationships, your career, your faith, your confidence, your ideas, your purpose. The thing you keep putting off is not guaranteed to become easier later. Sometimes delay raises the price. A conversation gets harder. A health issue gets worse. Debt grows. Distance forms. Fear gets stronger. The task becomes heavier in your mind because you've been carrying it for so long. So what would it look like to go early? To make the appointment before the pain? To have the conversation before the resentment? To start moving before the doctor scares you? To ask for help before you are overwhelmed? To begin building before you fully feel ready? That is a different way of living. You are not someone who only moves when forced. You are becoming someone who acts before the crisis, someone who prepares, someone who pays attention, someone who handles the small thing before it grows into the big thing. And I want to be clear. Going early does not mean being perfect. It doesn't mean you catch everything. It doesn't mean life never surprises you. It means you stop knowingly ignoring what is already asking for your attention. You stop pretending that avoiding it is the same as handling it. And you stop waiting for pain to give you permission to act. So here's the question I want you to sit with. What is the one thing you keep saying you will get to when things settle down? When you have more time, when you feel motivated, when the moment feels right. What is the thing you know is not going to get better on its own? That's your work for this week. Go in while it's still a chip. And pick one thing you've been putting off because it's not bad enough yet. Not 5, not your whole life. One thing. Make the appointment. Send the email. Have the conversation. Open the document. Take the walk. Ask the question. Make the first move. You do not need to finish everything this week. You just need to stop avoiding the first step. Because every week you delay, the cost may be compounding. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is act before you're forced to. Go early, and that is your move. And that is the coaching for today. I'm going to leave it right there, man. Let's get into root work. If you are new here, welcome. And root work is a segment we do in every episode. Root work means taking accountability and ownership of your life, starting with creating change within yourself. So during the season that forced a lot of us to slow down, I started writing things down on the sticky note. Anything I learned from a sermon, from a speech, from any video I saw, if I saw a line that stuck out to me and meant something to me, I wrote it down on a sticky note. And so every week I pick 2 at random, and then I speak to our topic and try to correlate and tie things into each other. So our topic this week is time, energy, and excuses. Let's pick 2 and see what we get. Root work number 1. The moment I start thinking it's about talent or acumen, I'm no longer effective to administer God's grace in the form he gave me to administer it. The moment I start thinking it's about talent or acumen, I'm no longer effective to administer God's grace in the form he gave me to administer it. So, going off of time, energy, excuses, this actually is perfect. So, I'm not sure where I was in my life when I wrote this, but what it says to me is my focus has to be on what God has given me and the grace God has given me to do whatever idea, whatever thought, whatever vision I have in my mind. Sometimes I get stuck thinking about I have to be more talented. I need more credentials. I have to do more gigs. I have to build my name up more before I'm qualified or before I'm worthy of achieving the goal or the dream or the vision that I have in my life. This is reminding me, if God gave me the vision, then he gave me the grace to do it and achieve it. It's not up to my talent. It's not up to my acumen. Should I work on that? Absolutely. Should I try to be the best I can with speaking and coaching and podcasting? Absolutely. Content creation? Absolutely. But the moment I start thinking that the talent or the acumen is what's going to get me there, that's when I start losing the connection with the grace God has given me. So keep my mind right. Keep focused on what got me to this point, and trust that it's going to get me to that finish line. And I hope that connects with something that you were thinking about. Don't get so stuck on the credentials. If you're being put in a position to do something, go for it. Go for it. See what you can do. If you need to get better, but don't disqualify yourself based on a criteria that was never the case. If it was put in your mind, it is for you. Take God's grace with you and go get that thing. Let's go to root work number 2. Root work number 2. To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. So that's actually one of my favorite words that I've always had connected with my faith is God's favor. So I've seen this applied so much in the brand that I'm building with Be Limitless Today. And also I was doing modeling and acting. And I mean, that was a direct where I know some of the gigs I got was not due to my ability. It was strictly just on the favor of God putting that in my life. There was nothing I did. It was auditions I was horrible at. The one of the big favors I got, I wanted to be on TV. That was my goal, to be on TV. So a year prior, I did an audition, and when I left, I used to be a big fan of Bentleys, right? So I saw a Bentley on the street. I'm walking down Hubbard Street in Chicago, downtown. I see a Bentley on the street, and I'm just walking past, checking the Bentley out. I'm not even paying attention to everything going on around me. So I take my time looking at the Bentley. I look at the license plate. It says Empire, the word Empire on it. And then I walk to the edge of the block. And as soon as I got there, it was a lady there with like a boom mic. And she's like, all right, action. I turn around. The crowd, they had a whole crowd there that was protesting. They started going. And then Terrence Howard steps out of the Bentley and walks into the building. So it was just a quick scene, but it was from the TV show Empire. I had no idea. Fast forward a year later, I do an audition for Superman that was shooting in Chicago. And from that audition, I got a call from the show Empire, and they put me on as a security guard. So I was able to have that moment with my family of everybody watching the TV at the same time. We all on a Zoom call, and your boy come up on the screen. And it was a dope moment. But I know it was not my skill and my talent that got me that. It was God's favor that put me in the position to get that. So tying it to what we're talking about with the time, energy, and excuses, we keep thinking that we control so much when we don't. We can only control the things we can control. You show up where you're supposed to be. You come as prepared as you are supposed to be prepared. And you give it your best shot. That's all you can control. You don't know what is going to happen after. You don't know what it's going to lead to. That is out of your control, out of your realm, not your responsibility. Handle the things you're supposed to handle. Control the things you're supposed to control. And let God's favor work the rest. Don't use time. Don't use your energy for any excuses. Do what you need to do and let God do the rest, man. All right, that's it for root work. To close us out, the lesson today is simple. Do not wait for the pain to make the decision for you. Sometimes the time is limited. Sometimes the energy is limited. Sometimes the constraint is real. But there are also times when the thing has simply not become important enough for us to act. That is where honesty matters. If it was bad enough, you would make time. And you can have anything you are willing to pay That is where honesty matters. And if it was bad enough, you would make time. And you can have anything if you are willing to pay what it costs. You cannot want the result and negotiate away the price. You do not have to wait for the crisis to start paying attention. Go early. Prepare before the urgency arrives. Address the chip before it becomes the root canal. This is not just about a dental strategy. This is a life strategy. You are not someone who is always behind. You are someone who is learning to move before the crisis forces you to move. That is a different person. And that person usually has more options. Now, if this episode here for you, share it with someone who has been sitting on something they know they need to address. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and drop it in the comments this week. What are you handling while it's still a chip? I want to see it. As always, negative news is freely given. Positive news must be searched for, and if you can't find it, then you create it. Be love, be you, and be limitless today.
Be limitless today.
Coming to get it and pushing the limits. You better pray we ain't come to play.